In the previous video, we have seen how to add user. So we have implemented the add new user functionality. Now in this video, let's work on the delete user functionality. So we'll work on the edit functionality later. So let's first complete the delete functionality. So if you see the final application, when I click on delete, we see this confirmation model, and we also see the name of the user who is getting deleted. So let's say if I click on Sarah Johnson delete, you see the complete name, and we have this option to cancel and delete. So when I click on cancel, the model closes, but when I click on delete, the actual user gets deleted. So let's work on this functionality. So for that, we can use the models component from React Bootstrap. So if you go to React Bootstrap, just search for models and you will land on this particular screen. So if I scroll down, you can see there is launch demo model. So this is how the model will be displayed. So let's copy this code. So if we check the code here, we have this model here and we are passing a show prop. So if show prop is true, it will be shown, the model will be shown. If it's false, it will not be shown. So initially it's false. So initially you don't see that model. Only when we click on this launch demo model, what happens when I click on this launch demo model, then we are calling this handle show. So where we are setting show to true. So if it's true, then the component will re-render, this will become true and the model will be displayed. So let's copy this model code here. And here we'll create a new component. I will call it delete confirmation model dot tsx. So I will create boilerplate code. So let's create boilerplate code and I will paste whatever I have copied here. So let's import the model component. Let me zoom in and let's also import the button component. So if you see, it needs some props. So show, then handle close, handle close. So here on close, we are closing, and on save change, we want to do some different thing. So let's declare a type here. So because we are using TypeScript, you need to specify the props. So show is a prop which will be Boolean, true or false. Then handle close. So instead of calling handle close, I will call it on hide itself. So on hide, we want to do different thing. On close, save changes, we want to do different thing. So here I will call on hide, which is a function which does not return anything and does not accept anything. Now here I will call it on confirm instead of on click. So when user click on that button, so here instead of save changes, we can write delete user. Here we'll call it cancel. So on confirm is exactly same. Now we can use these props here. React, let's import it .fc and we can use it here. Now let's destructure these props. So show, on hide, on confirm, and we also need a user. So which user you are trying to delete? We want to display this name. So let's also declare user prop, which is of type user. So which we have already seen, or it can be null. So by default, we'll not have any users. So when the model is not displayed, so we'll set it to null initial. And this user, let's also accept that as a prop. And here we can display a message. Here we can say confirm, delete. And inside the body, let's add a paragraph. Let's add a paragraph. Are you sure you want to delete the user? Here in the bold, we can display that name. So I'll call it user.name. And here we'll display one more paragraph. And here we can say this action cannot be undone. So if you see the final application, when I click on this, we have this small text, this action cannot be undone. So let's style this text body secondary. And we also say small. So you can either use small class or you can make this a small tag. Both works. So text body secondary is fine. Now everything looks good. Let's use this delete confirmation model inside the user list. So why inside user list? Because the button to delete is inside the user list. So here we have this trash icon, which is the delete button. So that's why we need that model here itself. So we can easily pass the props. So before the container, let's use that component and let's import it. So it needs whatever props, we need to declare those. Or let's declare a state here, use state. So we can call it show delete model. So instead of just show, we'll use show delete model. So it's more clear and it will be false initial. Let's import this use state. Apart from that, we also need user. So let's call it user to delete. And you can say set user to delete. So its initial value will be null because that user, what is user? So when we click on that delete button, this is the individual user object. So we are storing object. So whenever you are storing object, always make sure to have default value of null. So it can be either that user object or it can be null. So when you have just either true or false, you don't need to specify here boolean. That is redundant because from this itself it's clear that boolean. So TypeScript automatically infers that. But in this case, by default it's null, and if user enters that or clicks that, then we are setting it to user. So we are importing the user from here. So if you see user is this particular type. So now we have these two steps. Let's declare functions. Here I can say handle delete click. Once we click on that delete, we'll accept the user and its type will be user. Similarly, handle delete cancel. During cancel, will not take anything, and handle delete confirm. So during confirm, we also not take anything. So now we can use this as a prop here. So let's do control space. For show equal to, we'll say show delete model. And on confirm equal to handle delete confirm. On cancel, on hide, handle delete cancel. And we also need user. User equal to user to delete. Why user to delete is not coming? User, it should be user, not use. Always do control space so you will not make any mistake. Now this user, oh yeah, so we have already declared everything and this is all done. Now on click of that trash icon, we want to call this particular method handle delete click. So once we click, we need to pass the user prop. So where is our trash icon? This one. So here I can have on click inline function. We can call handle delete click and I'll pass the user. Where is this user? This user is coming from here. Let's save this. And what we want to do inside this particular function, we need to set user to delete to whatever user coming, as well as we want to show this model, set this state to true. So let's paste this true and we'll set it to true. So once this is true, what will happen? The component will re-render and we are passing true here as a show prop. So inside it, this will be passed as a true. So the confirmation model will be displayed. So let's try it out. So if I refresh and let's click on this delete for mic, you can see we are successfully able to see this model. And here let's verify. So here we are saying this in the center. So let's see if we have some props. Center, you can see vertically centered. So we can pass a prop here for the model component. Let's save this and try it. Now you can see it's in the center. So let me click on cancel. On cancel, nothing is happening. You can see nothing is happening because we don't have that code. So let's add that code. On delete cancel, we'll set show delete model to false. So when it's false, the component will re-render. So when you are setting state, component will re-render, and this will be passed as a prop to as a show. So show prop will become false, and component that model will not be displayed. So let's click on cancel. You can see now the model is closed. So just click on this. Are you sure you want to delete user mic? It's coming correctly. Let's try for this one. You can see we are correctly seeing this one. Just one thing I can see there is typo and this button should be in red color. So let's fix that. So here delete user and its variant will be danger. So now you can see delete user is displayed. So everything looks fine. So when I click on this close icon, the model is closed. As well as when we click on outside, the model is closed. So as well as when you click on press escape key, the model will be closed. So these are the different ways you can close this model. Now on click out delete, we want to delete them all. So let's add that functionality on delete click, set user to delete. So we are setting this user to delete. Now inside the handle confirm click, we can add that code to actually delete the user. So we first need to check there is a user to delete, then only delete that. So here we can call the, let's add the store functionality, delete user. So we have this delete user. So how can we delete a user? So let's go here and let me show you. So what I will do is I will just copy this. Let's paste it in the console. So we can use the filter method for deleting any of the record from the array. So let me show you here. So we have these users. So if I print users, you can see we have these users. Now we can delete by a specific user ID. What you can do is I can do filter method, users dot filter, and for this filter we'll get this individual user. And here I can say if user dot id not equal to whatever id. So let's say I want to delete user with id 4, which is ima. So I can specify 4. So make sure it's in string because this is in string. So you need to enter both of these as string. So users dot filter. Now if I press enter, you can see 4 id user is not there. So what we are doing, we are using filter method. So in filter method, for during each of the element, what it will check if user dot id not equal to 4. So during first iteration, user id is 1. So 1 is not equal to 4, true. So that will be kept. So whichever is not matching, that will be kept. So for every user apart from id equal to 4, this will return as true. So here it will become true. So in filter method, if you return true, then that array element will be retained. It will not be deleted. So during first id 1 is not equal to 4, that is true. So it will be retained. For during this iteration when id is 4, it will return false. So when it's false, that element will not be added in the result. So filter returns a new array. So in that array, it will not be kept. So that's how filter method works. So here you will receive an ID which you can use, and here we need to use the set method. For set, you can pass the object, and I want to set the user's property. So here I can say get dot users dot find for individual user if user dot id is not equal to this particular id. So we are getting this error because we need to specify type here, id which is of type string. Make sure you specify this as string and not an integer, because in the users array these are string by default, and when you generate that crypto random id, that is also string. So here we are getting error. If you see user or undefined is not assignable to user array or undefined. Oh, it should be filter, not find. The filter returns an array, find returns individual object. Now we can see we are not getting any error. So let's also see here. Yeah. So here we can use this particular delete user. So how do we use it? So you can use it like this. So we already have create selector. So if you see the app component, we have this add user form, and here we are already using this user selector. So let's use that way. So here we can use users. This will be users. Let's import this user selector, and this will be, what is the method name or action name? This is action. So always use this create selector. So let me show you again if you have forgot that. We already created this create selector. So that automatically generates the selector for us. So we don't need to manually use those selectors. So you can directly use delete user here. So for this we need to pass the ID. So I can say user to delete dot ID. Let's save this. And now along with this, so when we delete, what we need to do, we need to close that model. So we don't want to keep that model open. So I can say set show delete model to false and set user to delete. We also want to reset that user to delete once it's deleted. So we'll set it back to null. And yeah, that's it. Now let's verify this. So let's say for this mic user, I will click on delete. You can see we see this confirmation pop up. I can click on cancel and it's not deleted. Now let's click on delete and we'll click on the delete user. So if I click on this, you can see the user is deleted. So if I refresh, you can see it's still deleted. So the actual user is correctly deleted. But we don't see any confirmation whether that deleted or not. So let's add a toast notification for that. So you can use React Toastify. So this is a popular NPM package where you can build this nice toast notification. So let's first install this. We'll do npm install react-toastify. And how to use it? You can just scroll down. You see, we just need to add this toast container in your application. So usually main.js or app.js. So let's see if we have main here. So we have main.tsx here. We can add that toast container. So this need to be imported from React Toastify. Make sure you correctly import it. Now we can use that toast. So how to display toast? You just use this toast function to display. Now to use this, let's go to user list. And once we delete that particular user, we can add toast. So import it from React Toastify. User is deleted successfully. So this will display the toast notification. Make sure you import this toast at the top. Now let's verify this again. So if I refresh, and let's click on delete for this entry. So if I click on delete user, you can see user is deleted successfully. But if you see the final application, in final application, we are displaying, let's say I want to display mic. So in final application, we are displaying in the center. So our this button is not blocked. Right now, the toast notification is displayed here. So we cannot click until that notification is gone. So we can customize this. So if I go to documentation, here we can pass different parameter. You can see we have different options that you can pass. So you can select top left position and click on, let's say, show. You can see it's displayed on the left side. You can also change the type, let's say success. You can see it's displaying like a success. So whatever you want. So we want this center. So I want this top center. So just click on this. You can see it's displaying properly. So let's go to the main, and here we can add that extra props. So let's import these bounds. So top center auto close the 1 second, after 1 second. I want to close that. Newest on top. So if you have multiple toast notification, newest will be displayed on above. Hide progress bar false. So I want to see that progress of closing. And close on click false. This is false. So you can change as per your need. But if I now refresh and let's click on delete for this one, click on cancel, it's not deleted. When I click on delete user, you can see user is deleted successfully. So this is working properly. And let's verify the Devtool. So let's go to Redux store and refresh this. When I click on delete for Sophia, let's see. You can see it's not getting displayed. So action is delete user, but it was already there. So let's see the store. So here we don't have DevTools configuration. So as we have seen previously, always whenever you are using persist and DevTools together or more than one middleware, you need to make sure that the order is important. So here, this function, whatever you are passing, this is for persist. So let me copy this. So inside persist, you should have DevTools. That is very important. For DevTools, you don't need anything. Let's save this. So make sure persist is outside and devtools is inside. Then you will clearly see that action name and you will not see anonymous text. So let's refresh this and try it again. So let's say I want to delete this EMA. So let's click on delete user. You can see now you correctly see this delete user notification, and here you can see what is the difference. So this particular user is deleted from that particular list. You can also see those users here. So let's say Olivia Garcia I want to delete the user one. I can click on this and that is deleted. User is deleted successfully. So you can see if I click here, you can see it's deleted from here. So this was the previous state. It was having Olivia, but now after delete this action, we can see that the user is no longer there. Now, if you see, we have deleted most of the users and we don't have. Now, whenever we refresh, we always read from local storage. So I want to reset this data to the user's data here. So I don't have to manually import that or add those again. So I will go to local storage and users. I will click on this icon to delete this specific entry. Click on delete. Sir. Now it's deleted. So if I refresh, you can see we are back with the original user. So whatever user set users we have, these are back. So that's how you can implement the delete functionality with toast notification.